So today's story is about a guy who watched his parents forget his daughter's 5th birthday. Just straight up showed up with nothing. No card, no gift, no apology. Just a pat on the head and a "we'll make it up to her." And look, that's already bad. But here's where it gets wild. 1 week later, his niece is holding a brand new iPhone 17 Pro, courtesy of Grandma and Grandpa. Meanwhile, his 5-year-old got a shrug. So when his parents came asking about the 10,000 he'd promised for their kitchen, he forgot too. 32 missed calls later, this thing went nuclear. And honestly, I'm on his side the entire time. My parents forgot my daughter's birthday, but bought my niece an iPhone 17 Pro. So I forgot their $10,000 kitchen renovation. My parents forgot my daughter's birthday. 5 years old, her first big kid birthday, as she called it, and they showed up empty-handed with a shrug and an, "Oh, we'll make it up to her." I believed them. That was my first mistake. My name's Nate. I'm 31, married to my wife Jess for 7 years, and we live in a 3-bedroom house in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're not rich, but we're not scraping by either. I'm a project coordinator at an architectural firm. Jess is an operations manager at a mid-sized company downtown. Together, we do all right. We drive used cars that are paid off, we've got a decent backyard, and we meal prep on Sundays like boring, responsible adults. We have one daughter, Lily. She just turned 5, and she's the kind of kid who talks to butterflies and saves her Halloween candy for months because she doesn't want the chocolate to feel left out. Last week, she put a Band-Aid on a stuffed animal because it looked sad. Yeah, she's that kind of sweet. So picture this. It's Lily's birthday party. We've got streamers, a unicorn cake, the whole setup. My parents, Frank and Linda, show up 40 minutes late, which honestly is early for them. My mom walks in, gives Lily a squeeze, and says, "Happy birthday, sweetheart." My dad pats her head like she's a golden retriever. No gift bag, no card, nothing. Did I say something right then? Of course not. I bit my tongue so hard I could taste metal, because that's what sons like me do. We keep the peace. We smile. We tell ourselves it's fine. My sister Claire was there with her 2 kids, 13-year-old Zoe and 8-year-old Caleb. Claire's 2 years older than me, divorced, and honestly one of the best people I know. She'd brought Lily this huge art set with like 60 colors and a little easel. Lily nearly passed out from excitement. Claire looked at me sideways when our parents came in with nothing, and I just shook my head. Not now. After the party, when everyone went home and Lily was in bed, surrounded by wrapping paper like some kind of gift tornado, Jess sat down next to me and said, "So your parents really didn't bring anything?" I told her they forgot. She just looked at me. You know that look your wife gives you when she's trying not to say what she's really thinking? Yeah, that one. She took a breath, nodded, and said, "Okay." I could hear everything she wasn't saying. Here's the thing, and I know some of you are probably already figuring this out. My parents have always been uneven. Not bad people, not monsters, just uneven. Claire's kids. My mom has them over every other weekend. She takes Zoe shopping. She bakes with Caleb. She posts photos of them on Facebook with captions like "Grandma's Angels." She made Caleb a custom Halloween costume last year. She went to every single one of Zoe's school concerts. Lily? She's been to their house maybe 6 times in her entire life. My mom has missed 2 of her birthdays now, and I only just realized I'd been keeping count without meaning to. I used to tell myself it was geography. We live 20 minutes away. Claire lives 5 minutes away. But 20 minutes isn't far. That's a podcast episode. That's the drive to get groceries. And then I'd see the photo albums. My mom kept pages and pages of Zoe and Caleb, field trips, holidays, random Tuesday afternoons, and one blurry picture of Lily from her christening wedged in the back like an afterthought. You ever notice something that breaks your heart, but you convince yourself you're overreacting? Yeah, that's been my whole life. Anyway, 1 week goes by. No makeup gift for Lily. No call, no card, no little something in the mail. I don't say anything because I'm still giving them the benefit of the doubt. That's what good sons do, right? Then day 8 happens. I'm scrolling through Facebook because apparently I enjoy emotional damage. And there's a photo from my mom's page. Zoe sitting at my parents' kitchen table, holding a brand new iPhone 17 Pro. The caption reads, "Only the best for our girl. Grandma and Grandpa's little smarty pants. I stared at that photo for I don't know how long. Long enough that the screen dimmed twice and I had to tap it back to life. I zoomed in on the phone box in the background. Brand new, sealed, not even a refurbished one or a hand-me-down. They went full flagship for a 13-year-old. And I thought about Lily at her party, in her little unicorn dress Jess had spent an hour picking out, looking around the room and never once asking where Grandma and Grandpa's gift was. Because she's 5, and she's already learned not to expect it. That hit different than anything else. Jess found me sitting in the kitchen just holding my phone like a statue. She asked what happened. I just turned the screen toward her. She read it, looked at me, and for the first time she didn't say, "Okay." She said, "That's enough, Nate." And honestly, something shifted right then. Like a switch I didn't know existed just flipped. 5 years of swallowed hurt and excuses and they didn't mean it, just kind of evaporated. And what was left was this very clear, very calm thought. If they can forget my daughter, I can forget them too. Hold on a second. For the listeners, this is me jumping in. Not the OP. I need you to absorb what just happened here. These grandparents showed up to a 5-year-old's birthday party with the same energy as someone walking into a meeting they forgot about. Just vibes and finger guns. Then a week later they dropped what? 1,000 plus on an iPhone 17 Pro for the other grandkid? That's not forgetfulness. That's a Yelp review with a 1-star rating. Granddaughter Lily. Nice kid. Wouldn't visit again. This is giving villain origin story, and honestly Nate's been way too patient. But that patience just expired. Buckle up. Now, some of you are probably thinking it's just a phone. Don't overreact. And maybe you're right. Maybe a phone is just a phone. But it's not about the phone, is it? It's about your kid watching her grandparents love her cousins out loud while she gets silence. It's about your 5-year-old not even asking why Grandma and Grandpa didn't bring her a present because she's already used to it. That's the part that wrecked me. So the next morning, I'm making Lily pancakes. The ones shaped like bears because she insists regular pancakes are boring circles. And the doorbell rings. It's 8:15 in the morning. Nobody shows up at 8:15 unless they're delivering bad news or they're angry. This time it was both. I open the door and there's my dad standing on my porch in his old fishing jacket, arms stiff at his sides, jaw clenched like he was physically holding his words in. Behind him in the driveway, my mom was sitting in the car with the engine running. She didn't even get out. Just sat there with her sunglasses on like she was the getaway driver. "We need to talk," my dad said. "Good morning to you too, Dad." He didn't laugh. He pushed past me into the hallway. Not aggressively, but not politely either. And stood in my kitchen looking at Lily's bear pancakes like they had personally offended him. "Papa Frank," Lily said, waving her fork. She calls him Papa Frank because when she was 3, she couldn't figure out the word grandpa and it just stuck. He gave her a half smile. The kind you give a co-worker's kid. Then he turned to me. "Your mother is very upset." "About what?" The look on his face. Like I'd asked him to explain gravity. "About the money, Nate. What do you think?" "Oh, right. The money. The $10,000 I promised for their kitchen renovation months ago. See, I'd been planning to send it. I'd even budgeted for it. Set it aside in a separate account. The whole responsible adult thing. But then they forgot my daughter's birthday and bought my niece a flagship phone. And something in my brain just went, you know what? I forgot too. Funny how that works. I didn't plan it as revenge or anything. I just stopped caring about their timeline the same way they stopped caring about my kid. Call it whatever you want." "You didn't forget," he said. "I did, Dad. Just like you forgot Lily's birthday." And there it was, out in the open. I watched it land, and for about 2 seconds, I saw something flicker across his face. Guilt, maybe, or at least the cousin of guilt. But it disappeared fast. And what replaced it was something I did not expect. He said that's different. Different. Let that word sit there for a second. Forgetting a child's birthday is different from forgetting to send money. You tell me, in what universe is that different? In what universe does a 5-year-old's feelings rank below kitchen countertops? I set down the spatula. "How is it different, Dad? We were going to get her something. We just hadn't gotten around to it. It's been over a week. We've been busy with the renovation. Busy enough to buy Zoe an iPhone 17 Pro, though." He went quiet. Really quiet. Lily was watching us the way kids do when they feel the temperature in a room change. She stopped chewing and just held her fork in the air with a little piece of pancake bear ear dangling off the end. I told her to go eat in the living room and watch one cartoon. She grabbed her plate and bolted. Smart kid. My dad sat down at the kitchen table without being invited, which if you knew my dad is very on brand. He rubbed his face with both hands and said that phone was your mother's idea. Zoe needed one for school. She's 13, Dad. She didn't need a pro model. I'm not here to argue about a phone. No, you're here to argue about money. Because your money matters, but my daughter doesn't. And here's where he said the thing. The thing I'm still not over, honestly. He leaned forward and said, and I'm quoting him exactly, "Nate, you and Jess are doing fine. Claire is on her own. We have to help where help is needed." I almost laughed. Almost. Because the implication was so clear it might as well have been on a billboard. Because I married well and my sister didn't, my child deserves less love. My kid gets the leftovers because her parents have 2 incomes. Can you imagine hearing that from your own father? Jess walked in right at that moment. Perfect timing. Honestly, the woman has a 6th sense for when I'm about to either shut down or throw something. She said, "Morning, Frank, coffee?" My dad looked at her and said, "Jess, talk some sense into him." And Jess, I love this woman, poured herself a cup of coffee, took a long sip, and said, "I think he's making plenty of sense." My dad stood up so fast, the chair scraped the floor. "This is ridiculous. We asked you for help months ago. You agreed, and now you're punishing us over a birthday present." "No, Dad," I said. "I'm not punishing you. I just forgot. I'll make it up to you." He left. Slammed my screen door so hard, the little wreath fell off. Through the window, I watched him get in the car, and I could see my mom immediately start talking, hands flying everywhere. They sat in my driveway for a full 5 minutes before pulling away. 5 minutes of whatever that conversation was. At one point, my mom pointed back at the house, and my dad shook his head. I just stood there watching like it was a nature documentary. And here we observe the disappointed parents in their natural habitat. Yo, timeout. Did this man really just say, "We have to help where help is needed," as an excuse for treating one grandkid like a VIP and the other like a background extra? That's some Olympic-level mental gymnastics right there. If Bad Excuses were a Netflix series, Frank just dropped a 6-season arc with 0 character development. And Jess coming in with, "I think he's making plenty of sense," while casually sipping coffee? That's the energy of someone who's been loading that bullet for 5 years and just finally pulled the trigger. Cold, efficient, no wasted words. I respect it. Anyway, things are about to get significantly dumber. Stay with me. Now do you think I felt good? I'll be honest. I felt terrible. Like physically sick to my stomach. Because that's the thing about standing up for yourself when you've never done it before. It feels wrong even when it's right. My hands were shaking. I sat down at the table where my dad had been sitting and just stared at the coffee cup Jess had started pouring before he stormed out. The bear pancakes were cold. Lily's cartoon was still playing in the other room. Something with a singing cat. I could hear it through the wall. Normal Saturday morning sounds while my whole chest felt like it was caving in. Jess sat across from me. "You okay?" "No, you did the right thing." "Then why do I feel like I kicked a puppy?" She reached across and held my hand and said something that kind of rearranged my brain. Because they trained you to feel guilty for having boundaries. I mean, come on. The woman should write greeting cards. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was Claire. She texted, "Mom just called me crying saying you're withholding money from them. What's happening?" Great. So now I'm the villain. I called Claire and told her everything. The birthday, the phone, the forgot, the 32 missed calls, my dad showing up at dawn like a collection agent. She listened without interrupting, which is rare for Claire. The woman has an opinion about everything, including how I load my dishwasher. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said I didn't know they didn't get Lily anything. She swore she didn't know about the phone either. Their mom told her she was getting Zoe a case for her old phone, not a whole new iPhone. I believed her. Claire has never been the problem. She's never once acted like her kids were more important than Lily. She's the one who always brings extra gifts, always invites Lily to Zoe and Caleb's stuff. Always tries to even things out without making it a thing. So what are you going to do? She asked. I'm not sending the money. Okay, you're not mad? Why would I be mad? Because they're going to make this about you. They're going to say I'm punishing them and then lean on you harder. She laughed this dry, tired laugh. Nate, they already lean on me. That's not new. What's new is you actually pushing back. Honestly, I've been waiting for this. That surprised me. You have? I've watched them treat Lily like an afterthought for 5 years. You think I haven't noticed? I just didn't think it was my place to say anything. My sister, man. Sometimes the people who see you clearest are the ones standing right next to you. But here's where things took a turn I absolutely did not see coming. Because that evening, about 2 hours after I talked to Claire, I got a text from my mom. Not a call, a text. And this is what it said word for word. Since you've decided to go back on your word, Dad and I have decided to use our savings for a vacation instead of waiting around for your help. We're taking Claire and the kids to Myrtle Beach for a week. We all need a break from the stress. Maybe when we get back, we can discuss things like adults. Read that again. Slowly. They took the money they did have. Money they said wasn't enough for the kitchen. Money they said they desperately needed our $10,000 to supplement. And they booked a vacation. Not just for themselves. For Claire and her kids. Everyone except me, Jess, and Lily. I showed Jess the text. She read it, set the phone down, and said one word. Wow. And I just started laughing. Not happy laughing. That unhinged kind where you're either going to laugh or you're going to lose it, and laughing seems healthier. Because you have to appreciate the artistry. The sheer audacity. They didn't have enough for their kitchen, but they had enough for a beach trip for 6 people. I texted back one word. Enjoy. That's it. Nothing else. No fight, no paragraph, just enjoy. Because what else do you say to that? Wait. Let me get this straight. They were so broke they needed 10 grand from their son for a kitchen remodel. But the second that money dried up, they somehow found the budget for a beach vacation for 6? That math is giving Enron accounting energy. Somebody audit these people. And the passive-aggressive, discuss things like adults line at the end? Chef's kiss. That's the text equivalent of a villain monologue right before they trip over their own cape. But here's the thing they didn't account for. They invited Claire. And Claire's about to remind everyone why she's the real one in this family. Now, here's what they didn't count on. They invited Claire. And Claire has a conscience. About 30 minutes after that text, Claire called me and she was not happy. Did you see Mom's text? The Myrtle Beach one? Nate, I'm not going. I tried to tell her it was fine. She should go. The kids would love the beach. But Claire, stubborn, opinionated, dishwasher policing Claire, would not budge. You're my brother, and Lily is my niece. I'm not pretending this is okay. I'm not gonna lie. I sat on my bedroom floor and just lost it for a minute, because sometimes the thing that breaks you isn't the cruelty. It's the kindness right next to it. Jess found me there and didn't say anything. Just sat down next to me on the floor. We stayed like that for a while. She rubbed my back and I stared at the baseboard and noticed it had a scuff mark I'd been meaning to fix for like 8 months. Funny what you notice when your brain is trying to think about anything other than what it's actually thinking about. Claire called our parents that night and told them she wasn't going. From what she told me later, my mom completely fell apart on the phone. Not sad crying, angry crying. The kind where someone isn't upset that they hurt you, they're upset that their plan isn't working. There's a difference, and if you've been in a family like mine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. My mom said, after everything we do for you and those kids, you're going to side with him? And Claire said, I'm not siding with anyone. I'm just not going to be your way of proving a point. My dad got on the phone next. Tried the calm approach, the let's be reasonable voice he uses when he wants you to think he's the rational one. He said, this doesn't concern you. This is between us and Nate. And Claire said you made it concern me when you put my kids on the guest list and left his off. He didn't have an answer for that. Now here's what I didn't know was happening at the same time. While Claire was going to bat for me, which I never asked her to do and still feel weird about, something was going on at her house. Zoe, 13-year-old Zoe with her brand new iPhone 17 Pro, had been listening. Kids hear everything, right? You think they're in their rooms with headphones on, but they're absorbing every word like little emotional sponges. Zoe had heard Claire's phone call with me earlier that day. She'd heard the one with our parents, and she'd been putting things together the way teenagers do, quietly, without telling anyone, building a case in her head. That night, Zoe came downstairs and sat on the couch next to Claire and said, "Mom, did Grandma and Grandpa really not get Lily a birthday present?" Claire told her the truth because Claire doesn't sugarcoat things for her kids. Never has. Her kids trust her completely because of it. Zoe was quiet for a minute. Then she said, "That's really messed up." Claire said, "Yeah, it is." And then Zoe said, "And I swear when Claire told me this, I had to sit down. I don't want the phone." Claire blinked. "What?" "I don't want it. Not if they gave it to me instead of giving Lily something." "That's not fair. I have my old phone. It works fine. I don't need this one. 13 years old. 13. And she had more moral clarity than two grown adults in their 60s. Okay, stop. Everybody stop. A 13-year-old just did what two retirement-age adults couldn't. She looked at something unfair and said, "Nah, I'm good." While Frank and Linda were out here playing favorites like it's a reality TV elimination round, Zoe just voluntarily voted herself off the island. This kid has the emotional intelligence of a Supreme Court justice and the backbone of a UFC fighter. If Zoe ever runs for president, I'm voting for her. No questions asked, no debates needed. She's already more qualified than most people I've met. Anyway, what she does next with that phone is the part that actually got me. Claire didn't just let it go, though. She sat with it for a couple days because she's smart and doesn't make rash decisions. Unlike me, who forgot 10,000 in the span of a single phone call. She thought about what would actually be meaningful. Then she called me on a Wednesday morning. I was at work eating a sad little salad in the break room, and she said, "I have an idea, and I want you to hear me out before you say no." That's never a good start. Zoe wants to sell the phone. I nearly choked on a crouton. Claire, no. Absolutely not. Hear me out. She wants to sell it, split the money, and let the kids, all three of them, Zoe, Caleb, and Lily, each pick something they want. Something they choose for themselves. She said it should be the kids' decision, not the grandparents'. I didn't say anything for probably 30 seconds. Claire waited. "She really wants to do this," she finally said. She brought it up to me 3 separate times. She's thought about it. She even looked up what it's worth on a resale site. I laughed. A real laugh this time. She gets that from you. She gets the stubbornness from me. The moral compass is all her. So here's what happened. Claire and Zoe sold the iPhone 17 Pro. They got around $900 for it. Apparently it was basically mint condition, because Zoe had only had it for like 2 weeks, and she keeps her things weirdly pristine for a teenager. Like her room is spotless. Her shoes are always clean. Bridget says it's borderline unsettling for a 13-year-old. They split it 3 ways. $300 each for Zoe, Caleb, and Lily. And then, this is the part that gets me every single time. Claire brought the kids over to our house on Saturday. It was raining outside, I remember that. One of those gray afternoons where everything smells like wet grass. All 3 of them sat on our living room floor with their $300 each. And Zoe pulled out her old phone and showed Lily a list she'd made. A list of things Lily might want. She'd done research. Art supplies, picture books, that little kid camera that prints photos, a butterfly catching kit. She'd made a whole catalog for a 5-year-old she sees maybe once a month. Had it organized by price and everything. Lily looked at the list, looked at Zoe and said, "Can I get the camera and share it with you?" Zoe's face. I wish you could have seen it. She got this wobbly smile, the kind where you're trying really hard not to cry, and said, "Yeah, Lily, we can share it." Caleb used his $300 on a Lego set, the big pirate ship one he'd been wanting forever. And Zoe kept her $300 and told Claire she wanted to put it in her savings account. 13 years old with a savings account and a moral backbone. Somebody give that girl a scholarship. Now I know what you're wondering. What about my parents? Because this whole time, they'd been radio silent. After Claire said she wasn't going to Myrtle Beach, they went anyway. Just the 2 of them. No grandkids, no Claire, no me. Just Frank and Linda on a beach somewhere, presumably marinating in stubbornness and sunburn. They were gone 5 days. During those 5 days, I didn't call. Claire didn't call. And for the first time in maybe my entire life, I didn't feel guilty about it. When they came back, something was different. I don't know if it was the quiet of a vacation without anyone around them, or the fact that Claire, their reliable, always available, never makes waves daughter, had actually pushed back. Maybe both. My mom called Claire first. Not me. Claire. And she asked one question. Did we really mess this up that badly? Claire, in her classic Claire way, said, "Yes, Mom, you did." My mom cried. Real crying this time. Not the angry kind, the scared kind, the kind where you realize you might actually lose something that matters. She told Claire she didn't know how things had gotten so lopsided. She said she and my dad had always seen Claire as the one who needed more help. Single mom, tight budget, tougher situation, and that they'd somehow turned helping more into loving more without realizing it. Do I believe that? Honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe partially. People are complicated. Sometimes the stories we tell ourselves about why we do things aren't the real reasons. Sometimes they're just the reasons that let us sleep at night. But she was trying, and that mattered. My dad was harder. He's not a talker. He's a stewer. He stews and eventually comes around, but he needs to feel like it's his idea. Classic Frank. So about a week after they got back, he showed up at my house again. This time at a normal hour, 10 in the morning on a Saturday. He rang the doorbell like a normal person. He was holding a small gift bag. Not a fancy one, just one of those little ones from the drugstore with tissue paper sticking out the top. I opened the door and he held it out without saying anything. His hand was shaking a little, I noticed that. Inside was a little jewelry box. And inside that was a charm bracelet. A kid's charm bracelet with a tiny unicorn, a tiny paintbrush, and a tiny letter L. It wasn't expensive, wasn't some grand gesture. But he'd picked it out, and if you knew my dad, you'd know he hasn't willingly set foot in a jewelry store since 1994. "I know it's late," he said. "I'm not good at this." "No, you're not." He looked at his shoes. "Your mother and I, we didn't mean for it to be like this." "But it was, Dad." "I know." He looked up. "I want to fix it." "I don't know how, but I want to fix it." "You want to know something?" That was enough. Not because it solved everything. It didn't. Not because one bracelet erases 5 years of feeling invisible. It doesn't. But because my dad, who has never in his life admitted to being wrong about anything, including the time he insisted Delaware was south of Maryland and argued about it for 20 minutes at Thanksgiving. Actually, it might have been Christmas, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. That man stood on my porch and said he wanted to fix it. That meant something. I let him in. Lily came running out and yelled "Papa Frank" and jumped on him. And he picked her up and held her for a long time. Longer than I'd ever seen him hold her. And over the top of her head he looked at me, and his eyes were red, and he mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." Final update. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything is perfect now. It's not. My parents are a work in progress. My mom has started inviting Lily over on her own. Just Lily, no other kids, their special time, and she's doing it about twice a month. My dad bought Lily a little fishing rod and takes her to the pond near their house. He's teaching her to cast, and apparently she's terrible at it, but he thinks it's hilarious, which is honestly more bonding than I got until I was like 15. The kitchen renovation? They figured it out on their own. Smaller scope, did some of the work themselves. My dad learned to tile from YouTube, and according to my mom, the backsplash is a little crooked but full of character. Jess offered to help with some of the labor, and my dad accepted, and the two of them spent a weekend doing grout work and barely talking but somehow saying everything. The $10,000, we kept it. Put it in a college fund for Lily. My parents never brought it up again. I think they understood the money was never really the point. And Claire, my sister, my buffer, my unexpected hero in all of this. She and I are closer now than we've ever been. We do Sunday dinners at each other's houses, alternating weeks. Our kids are growing up together the way we always wanted. Zoe still has her old phone, still has her savings account, and still checks in on Lily with this quiet, protective tenderness that makes me think the next generation might actually be better than ours. I asked Zoe once, a couple months later, if she ever regretted giving up the iPhone. She shrugged and said it was just a phone. Uncle Nate, Lily's my cousin. Just a phone. Lily's my cousin. Simple as that. The anger comes back sometimes, in small waves. When I see an old Facebook photo or when my mom says something thoughtless, without realizing it. But the waves are getting smaller. And the good stuff, the fishing rod, the charm bracelet, Lily shrieking Papa Frank loud enough to scare the neighbors, that stuff keeps getting bigger. I still don't know if my parents fully get what they did. I'm not sure they ever will entirely. That's the one thread I can't quite tie off. But they're showing up now, and showing up counts for something. So if you made it this far, what would you have done? Would you have sent the money? Would you have said something sooner? Or would you have done exactly what I did and just forgot? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious. Look, I'm not going to stand here and pretend Nate handled this perfectly from the start. The man watched his daughter get overlooked for 5 years before he finally said enough. But when he did, he didn't yell, didn't beg, didn't write a 10-page family group chat message. He just forgot. Same energy they gave his kid, he gave it right back. And sometimes that's all it takes. A mirror. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you have pulled the trigger sooner or played it the same way? And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. We've got more stories coming, and trust me, you don't want to miss the next one. Don't want to miss the next one. Don't want to miss the next one. Don't want to miss the next one.